I'm in the very fun process of building the first language theory model. Woohoo. What is a language theory model? A language theory model is basically a stack of theories, 6 birds, 6 primitives, uh, theories that sit on top of each other and try to, in combination, the whole stack tries to do what another emergent system out there does. It tries to copy it. It tries that in two senses. It attempts that in two senses. One is the outcome. The other one is the inside structure. So the claim here is not that the system, the language theory model, is simply mimicking or copying, ingesting probabilities. It actually understands the underlying theory or collection or stack of theories that is driving the outside phenomenon. And in doing so, to the extent that it does, it can also reproduce its behavior. In which case, you could actually claim that the thing is intelligent and not just appearing as such. And that brings me to that word, intelligence. Because while working on this thing, it's not finished, I started realizing, coming closer to a definition for that thing, not there yet. Why? Well, let's go back to physics for a second, right? Physics, if we take the 6 birds seriously, physics is an emergent phenomenon and is not even finished yet, right? There could be more physics, not within the time of our layer. Time in generative terms, in creation terms, is something else. Is some different kind of order. The time that we live in within our layer is a creation of that within that layer. So when I say there might be more physics theories, I don't mean it in within the sense of our time, but physics appears to be like an emergent generative phenomenon, right? So the universe is generating new physics that build on previous physics, and on it goes. And it's certainly creative in that sense, isn't it? If it's creative, then shouldn't we automatically assume that it is intelligent? I don't know. Well, I mean, we've kind of grown accustomed to saying that things can be intelligent, but creativity, creation, whatever, that's kind of like the only the higher intelligences would do that. But perhaps it's the other way around. And that, I know this sounds weird. I mean, you could say then that the system is creative, but it's not intelligent. Well, I think we have to revisit both terms. Because, well, if we look at LLMs, I guess right now, most people would say that they kind of appear intelligent, but they're not creative. So that's the other way around, right? So intuitively, you would say, no, creativity is something that comes later. But perhaps creativity is everywhere, and intelligence is not, unless we're willing to say that everything is intelligent and everything is creative, in which case, I mean, I think I actually just said that everything is creative. Well, we can assign different, we can put it on a spectrum, right? The universe as a whole is definitely the most creative thing there is, from my point of view. But if we want things to have some kind of useful, more useful sense to them, I guess that a binary classification would be a bit more useful for intelligence, and that I think is possible. And why do I think it's possible? Because going back to Michael Levin's words, so I keep coming back to this stuff. Intelligence seems to be a relative thing, kind of like an observer dependent thing. And he points to that in a different way. He says that we are blind to so much intelligence out there because we just recognize our own intelligence. And in Michael Levin's words, that's in his view, it's kind of a failure to be doing that. Perhaps I totally see that, and it could totally be the case that we could start opening up to all these things. But what if that failure is not a matter of insufficiency, but just a matter of definition, in the sense that intelligence cannot be defined without defining the observer, without saying intelligent relative to whom. And here's how that all comes together, kind of. Going back to the language theory model that I'm putting together. What is the task, if you think about it? The task is to create an emergent structure that imitates a structure that emerged that is already out there. Say that in this case, the structure that has emerged out there is language. I mean, literally that's what it is. And that emergence happened over millennia, language evolving over the substrate of civilizations, people, songs, writings, all that stuff. So it emerged through time like that. But it also emerges as a copy inside each head, inside each human. And that is different. It's not the same thing, right? And I can totally see that we can call it like an inverse re-emergence or re-emergence maybe, right? Of the same thing in a different substrate. That is not the same. And we could hypothesize here that that's what intelligence is about. So two systems, two emergent structures that are sharing the same emergence theory stack architecture between them, plus some other machinery, would plausibly consider each other intelligent. And that's kind of neat, because it does allow us to say that not everything is intelligent. Works, right? It does explain our failure to recognize other intelligences, doesn't limit us completely in that respect. It just makes it more difficult. We would have to develop the tools, instruments in Sixbert's terminology to see the other intelligences. But it's not recursive, as every definition would be, should be. So that's most of it. I think there was another point I wanted to make here, and it's escaping me right now. We got the system, the re-emergent structure. Yeah, it's this. Yeah, I guess one more point is that it almost seems inevitable that if the universe runs on these six primitives, substrates that would allow for a more efficient, would be more fertile to emergence, would emerge, right? So it's another way of saying it is, if emergence runs faster on a neural tissue than it does on a rock, then you might expect to see more of that at some point. Or, not more of that, I guess there's more rocks, but you would expect to see that one multiplying. And I think that a brain is essentially that. It's a substrate where emergence can run at a much faster pace. But it's not only that, because what it needs to do is to, at least part of it, it's not the whole story. It's not consciousness, it's not agency, it's not a lot. Perhaps it's not even attention. But a big part of it is reconstructing, re-emerging a structure that is already out there inside it. And that is probably the architecture you want if you want to model anything interesting out there, whether it be a market or language or video, you want to understand the theory of that. And that means not just one theory, a theory stack, a theory graph, whatever, a tree. But if you can model that, you have essentially modeled the essence of the system, not a latent probability space, which could, there's no reason why not, a latent probability space like an LLM could be modeling part of that emergent space, but it's much less cleaner and much less efficient. It's kind of like, been thinking about that. It's kind of like, shaking a big piece of marble, trying to create the Statue of Liberty. Gotta go to Pilates, but this has been my thinking lately, and I think it unlocks. If we start thinking about intelligence in that way, I think it's gonna unlock a few more things.